They're coming. They're coming your way. They'll be here soon.
Behind these walls lurks a terrible secret.
I think this castle does have a past, and it's a past that's been deliberately covered up.
A secret that has been silenced for centuries.
So you're convinced its lack of history is deliberate?
To even speak of it was punishable by death.
A secret that has claimed the lives of generations.
Some said suicide, some said murder.
Now, 500 years later, these doors will open once more.
See, the thing is, Ben, is that you're thinking that Four Loko is a single joke, but Four Loko is forever.
It's like the whole episode.
Four Loko is forever. I was doing like research on it too, and like because I know that it was sold in Canada, and then it got stopped being sold in Canada, and now it's back.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's not though.
It doesn't have the caffeine. That was the that was like
exactly.
the whole
Oh,
thing.
gotcha.
Yeah, you
Same
can't mix
in the
caffeine
US
and alcohol.
stuff.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, all the people dying on Four Loko meant that they stopped selling Four Loko.
Wild.
Listen, that Budapest fucking massacre really did a number. It made us change all the laws worldwide. They saw what happened to that man with his big sword, and they said, "No more. Enough's enough." And then these fuckers went back and unleashed Four Loko into the universe again. Now we have it back.
The old Hungarian proverb. If they've got a Four Loko, totes werewolf, man.
Welcome to Rough Cuts.
Welcome to Rough Cuts. I was going to say like the intro. There we go. I had started recording because I knew. I knew. All right.
Let's start
Audacity
though.
also.
We didn't.
Yeah, I'll hope that the intro's good because I'll just do that. It's fine. Welcome to Rough Cuts. I'm Ilian. We have my wonderful friend, The Boykes, our normal co-host. And of course, special guest, Bengineering.
Hey, how's it going? I am so stoked that I get to be eased into this with a remarkably competent whodunit film.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Right? This is actually the second whodunit we've done this month, technically. Because we had the PlayStation VR movie, Werewolves Within, by Ubisoft.
Do you have to make a Uplay account to watch the movie before you can
you have to make a Uplay account? Yeah. And then they sit all the characters around in a circle in a chair and they just talk to each other for 90 minutes. Yeah.
You want to know the best part about that movie, Ben?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's actually pretty good.
It was actually good, just like this movie
pretty
somehow.
Okay. It's
right?
pretty good.
Somehow.
By the fifth movie, they found their footing, it seems.
And Howling 5, yeah. So
Yeah.
Howling 5 is the fifth in the series. The first
Well, this
being
is
the
4,
Howling.
wasn't it?
No, this is the fifth. Howling
what?
5 takes place after the first Howling, Howling 2, which is a sequel to the first, Howling 3, the Marsupials, Howling 4, which is just a recreation of the first movie, based on a book, and then Howling 5, which claims it's based on a novel of Howling 1, 2, and 3, but is actually not related at all to the novels, I found out. And is completely separate. They just put that at the beginning to give you, like, credibility for the film.
This seemed like a completely standalone thing. Like, I didn't feel like I needed to come in with the deep Howling, backdrop. I didn't need to know everything about their werewolves and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, this is definitely its own thing.
Yeah, of all the things, they do a pretty good job, at least in these movies, from what we've seen of the Howling films, because we've seen about half of them now. To be very, very independent. This is Howling 4. This is not Howling 5.
No, this is 5.
Isn't it?
4 is
Really?
the
What?
remake
No,
of the
you're right.
first. You're literally wrong.
What?
In Ilion's defense, I also thought this was the fourth one because on the art,
right.
I definitely thought like it looked, because it has like a line above the V and below the V, so I thought like it was combining it into
Like
one
they were
big thing.
doing
But yeah,
before, yeah.
Oh my
but
God,
no.
sorry.
I'm on the Wikipedia page, and yeah, it's definitely describing the movie
It's
we
very
just saw.
clearly 5.
Yeah,
because
no,
the
you're right.
poster has a picture
sorry,
of
I
a
read
baby
both-
cradle, which is completely irrelevant to the film, other than the opening.
Yeah, sorry. I was reading. I was actually reading the plot synopses of both of these and stuff, and like the actors, and it sounds exactly the same. That's why. It was
Yeah,
fucking
no.
me up. Okay, so
I think
had a
the
bunch of things
biggest
wrong.
ripoff
Got it.
of this is I like looking at the box art and stuff. That's the most werewolf you see in this movie. Like you get like a little
Mhm.
bit of like vague like shots of it and stuff like that, but nothing like no full werewolf view. I guess like you see a little bit of, there's like one scene where like the dude's like kind of like hobbling around like Gollum, and that's about
little
it.
bit.
Yeah.
There's
Yes.
very little. Like they try to show as little of the werewolf as possible, which they actually have a good werewolf costume this time. Like it's not that bad.
There's a big
from
rubber
what
mask
I've
thing,
seen.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they just don't want to show it. Like most of the film, it's in pitch black. So-
Yeah, the lighting was not. It was definitely castle. We thought the candles and the torches
Yeah.
would be enough.
We
but,
brought cameras to the castle and didn't figure out any other lighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
As Boyd said, this is both the cool thing and the negative thing of shooting on location.
Yep.
In South Africa too. I did not like.
That was Howling
not-
4. I
Oh,
messed
was
up.
it?
I messed
Oh, okay.
up. I messed up.
Okay.
It was Howling
Okay.
4 is filmed in South Africa. Although yeah, this one is actually filmed in Budapest.
Okay.
This one is
Oh.
on this
In a
one's
real-
on location in Budapest on the actual, like, they said that they were going to go to a castle in Budapest.
Well, I mean, that makes
and
sense why they
fucking went to a
showed
castle in
so
Budapest.
much of the Ramada Grand Hotel then.
They were
Right?
probably they were straight up just staying there
'Cause they just
during
went
the
there.
filming. Yeah, and they're like, "Hey, do you think you could maybe like foot the bill a little bit on this if we do 20 friggin' establishing shots during the opening of this
your
film?"
hotel. Of your hotel, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that everybody knows we stayed at the Ramada Grand Hotel and they have great service. And don't worry, you'll get an excellent room at the
Yeah.
same low cost
It is in fact
price.
a grand hotel.
Oh my god.
So they even have a shot where a bus is leaving with all of them because they're tourists or something. This is a weird thing. I didn't quite get the setup.
Right.
but
They 'cause
they
were
all get in a bus
called
and they're
there
driving
to
away.
go on a trip, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know
Sure.
why they were picked, but they like explained that later
Yeah.
from
Yeah. But I'm just saying that, like, they establish so much this is the Ramada that they have a shot of the front of the hotel that just is like the awning that says Ramada Grand Hotel. The bus leaves with all the people on it, and the camera doesn't follow. It just sits on the Ramada
And then
Grand
it, like,
Hotel.
slow zooms in on
And
the...
like for like 5 extra seconds, it's just sitting there with no bus, no characters, nothing. Just, hey, you ever been to the Ramada Grand Hotel in Budapest?
Well, as part of their contract. Yeah, like it's just like we have to get this exact amount of time, and they're like, and a minute, perfect. All right,
Done.
cut. All right, on to the bus scene.
It's like in Space Jam 2 when they need to get Bugs Bunny and like all the other characters. But in order to do it, they have to give them the exact second per second film time.
Yeah.
Stop bringing in Space Jam 2. We're not watching Space Jam 2. I'm not doing it. You can't just bring it up every time.
Unless... Think about it.
I would not have been surprised though, like, because I genuinely thought that the whole movie was just going to take place in that hotel. Like it was like all the people dying in the castle was like the setup, and like this hotel was built on the ruins of Werewolf Mansion, and now that it's like the whole thing is like taking place there.
Because they spent so much time there.
They
at the
did. They
beginning.
really like showed all the angles. I was like, damn. All right.
They made sure you knew exactly what the lobby looked like, exactly what their bar looks like.
Yeah.
Everything.
And then we're away on a bus that hit something along the way that the guy was like, yeah, don't worry about it. Nothing happened.
They never addressed that afterwards, other than just to like look at the headlight, which is fine, that has some ketchup on it. But like they never addressed like the person they hit.
Yeah.
At all.
Was it a werewolf?
animal,
Was it
whatever,
just
yeah.
a civilian? Like
Was it an animal like they said? Who knows?
Yeah.
They use it as this
Yeah.
big setup for like, oh, see, there's something weird going on. We hit a thing on the road, and then it disappeared, and then it literally disappeared because it jumped out of the fucking
It was
movie.
nothing. Yeah, it was
Apparently.
nothing. Oh man. So yeah, our group of people. So there's a wild, large cast that all introduce themselves in the Ramada Grand Hotel, very clearly advertised. It's an actress, a reporter, a professor. God, there's like so many people. It's hard to keep...
One of the dudes I think is like a tennis guy, maybe.
Yeah.
I remember him mentioning he likes to polish his rackets.
That there's cameraman who likes cameras.
Oh yeah. There was the journalist guy who was like, "Oh, I shot you for Rolling Stone one time."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Just
so it's like
all these people.
Yeah, none of these characters were like they had like the basic of basic like setups and whatnot, and so much so that I definitely thought that two of the dudes were the same guy, like for at least half the movie.
I have no idea what you would have thought that they were two totally different men wearing V-neck sweaters with long 80s hair. brown 80s hair.
The difference was one of them shoved their V-neck into their pants and then put a belt around it.
That was a move.
That's how you
That
know.
is the power move, to be fair. In the 80s, if you actually managed to stuff your V-neck sweater into your pants.
But we have Professor Plum, Mrs. White, Miss Scarlet, Mr. Green. Right? Like, it's all the characters you know and love.
And like two Colonel Mustards.
Yeah. Two of them. Yeah. You gotta tell.
Colonel Mustard and
Colonel there's also
Mutard.
Australian smartass.
Steve, right? His name was Steve. He's the one I remember.
That guy's good.
Yeah, I mean, he started off pretty skeezy, but then like they get to the castle and they're all hanging out having like this like opening, the weirdest exposition like dump in the world. And the guy gets in like a sick burn against like the model or whatever, and I was like, all right, I'm here for this dude.
Yeah, because they have a 5 or 6 minute scene of everybody having different conversations about the same satanic werewolf story.
Yeah, but like
out of nowhere.
And not together. It's not like a group consensus. Everybody's in like groups of 3 being like, all right,
organically
split off and let's have the same conversation. It feels a little bit like if they took a party and then they wanted to like make a ghost story out of it, and what they did is they took like bits and pieces of everyone's lines, like it's like the werewolf came from
the Count strolls in and is like, we're going to split into groups and we're going to play an improv game called One Word Story.
It's totally that.
It's basically that, yeah. Because like they're all completing each other's sentences, and then one person's talking about, well, you see, the thing about werewolves is they're satanic, and then the next person's talking to someone completely different that didn't even hear their conversation. It's like, hey, do you think the professor is right about satanic werewolves?
Yeah, like the story just goes like everybody's listening to the same conversation, but everybody's having different conversations.
It's wild. Like, ma'am, I'm trying to get my drink on right now. That is a hell of a non sequitur.
Yeah, right.
By the way, the sick burn that you were mentioning, by the way, was I wrote it down. I had to mention it. She was like roasting him for something where she was kind of like, oh, well, I didn't know you were like such a sassy bitch or something. I didn't think that you were like that. And he's like, well, you know, sometimes we don't always know people. Like, I thought you were a good person. And then he just turns around and walks
and
away.
I swear to God, a guitar riff went off.
Yeah. Like that was Steve.
He just power slides out of there.
Yeah, and like later on, he walks up to somebody, he's like, man, yeah, my uncle got ligma. and like the actress is talking to me like, what's ligma? Oh, ligma, no. Roses
airhorn.mp3.
Yeah.
All the separate groups having their conversation stopped and just like, oh
shit. Oh, it's so good. So like they're at the party after they go to the castle, and they're talking about everything that happened. One thing they're talking about is the intro, which is just a party of dead people, all way passed out on Four Loko. In the 1400s, in the same castle.
Yeah. Which is the beginning of all the problems.
Yeah,
it has to have been Four Loko because there's no blood or injuries on anyone.
Blood. So, like, all of them. What happened was they discovered the secret of creating Four Loko in the 1400s, before Budapest merged between the two cities, Buda and Pest, but they still called it Budapest for some reason.
Wait, really? Was that before?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This checks out. This checks
correct.
out.
So all of them drank Four Loko, and they all just passed out drunk at the table, except for Spanish Crusader and his wife.
It looked like it was like a LARPing group, because the Spanish Crusader's sword had the widest hilt I've ever seen in my life. Like it definitely looked like my first prop kind of thing, and like the mold was so big. And then they stab each other, or he stabs her.
Like,
stabs her. Yeah, no, he stabs everyone, because he stabs her, and then he
like
flips her around and stabs himself with her still on the blade.
We need to point out this is like the Berserker blade, like the Berserk blade.
Yeah.
The giant great sword, claymore. So he somehow grabs the hilt. He has to have the longest arms of any human being. Because he like stabs her through the front and then pulls all the way back. But like the blade is as long as his torso and legs combined.
Yes.
How did he hold the handle?
He just like sneaks around behind her and is like, I'm in there too.
And then he fat rolls around like from Dark Souls and backstabs her, and like it makes no sense. It's so crazy. But then like as he's stabbing her, because she asked him to do it because there's werewolves out there. Then we hear a baby crying in the distance. He's like, "No, this was all for nothing."
Quick, somebody get up and go stab the baby.
The sacred Four Loko baby will carry this
carry the family secret
into the future.
And that's how it brought it to modern times.
See, the Four Loko baby grew up and then posted the recipe online, but the entire recipe is like 10 pages of their story about how their grandfather passed it on to them, and then you have to watch an ad to actually read the thing. It's a pain in the ass. So they set up this whole castle thing instead. It's easier.
It's buried in the terms of service that they have to that everyone just like scrolls through. If you actually read it, you discover the ingredients.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the setup. They're all talking about this story about werewolves and Satan, and some guy's just telling someone else about how his day went. It's really boring. It has nothing to do at all with Satan. So nobody talks to him. Just stand in the corner like a wallflower.
He's that meme with like everybody at the party, everybody having the conversations. He's like, they don't know that I know nothing about werewolves at all.
Yeah,
I was thinking more like they don't know that I'm a werewolf.
Yeah.
Right. So then
they had like the weirdest flex in that conversation though too, where they just like take this like weird pro like religion Christianity like standpoint when and they're just like, and every religion is based on fear, and Mary Lou, she's like, but not in America.
Not American
no church has started that way, and we're
no
church
in America is based on fear. Well,
we're not like you weird European churches.
Like Mary Lou also, as she's getting off the bus, is introduced to the butler, the maid, by the Count, which we haven't mentioned yet. There's a character called the Count.
Mm-hmm. Big
just
werewolf or like
walks
vampire
and talks
vibes.
like a vampire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she's like, they're saying, hey, they don't speak English, Oh, okay. Hello, I'm Mary Lou. My name's Mary Lou. I speak English.
yeah. And then she's like, they don't, and she's like, oh, right, my bad. My name is Mary Lou. Very nice to meet you. And it's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yep. I really like some of this knowing where the movie goes now.
Well, it's interesting because also during the conversation that they're having about Satan and that's going back and forth, one of the lines that she said that I caught is because she is also an actor, but she said something like it's really hard to act stupid around people.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. That's interesting because I don't know if she was talking in character or not.
They were kind of clever about some of this. Yeah. Some things they are definitely not clever about. But
so Professor Plum, I'm just going to call them after their clue names because it's easier.
Yeah.
He goes exploring through the castle.
I know exactly who you mean by Professor Plum.
Yeah, he leaves the party. He's like, I know the secret. I'm going to go explore. Okay. So then he wanders into a dungeon
Yeah, he finds a secret passage and just decides, fuck yeah, secret passage, let's
Well,
go.
I don't even know if it was a secret path. It was just like a very clearly marked like iron door with like with like wood and stuff like that. And he opens it up. Like it's like in this like completely pitch black area of the thing, and he's just completely cool with walking in there and gets bamboozled by the fact that something closes the door behind him and locks him in.
The door as he's investigating the werewolf webs.
Yeah.
Yes,
which every werewolf has. That's a normal power that all werewolves are born with.
As we know. Yeah. So as he gets entangled in the werewolf webs and someone closes the door, he goes around every door in this room. He's like, "Let me out!" And then somebody just opens the door again. He's like, "Oh, it was just a prank, bro." But the real prank was the werewolf that gets him.
Yeah. Also,
and we get our first taste of
Santos.
Santos. Which is the favorite reoccurring bit now of this film.
Oh my god!
Every death that happens, it is followed with the Gregorian chant of Santos.
Yeah, they do. Every single death for a very long time is a jump scare that instantly goes to black and just oh god,
Santos.
It's incredible.
It's so good. It's so good. But so the other setup is that there's a blizzard coming, which is going to keep them all in the castle.
Yes.
Right. So that happens. The blizzard starts up, and then some of the other characters start kind of like wandering around. I think looking for the professor because they couldn't find him at the dinner, right?
Because the count shows up and he's just like, I regret to inform you that the professor decided to go. Also not related, there's a blizzard outside, my dudes. And everyone's like, well, we should go find him. And he's like, no, actually, let's just chill.
You will chill if you go outside because there's a blizzard. Don't go outside.
Yeah.
So maybe chill was the wrong choice of words. Let's all relax, I guess.
Let's all freeze to death. I meant drink more for Loco.
God, like
and then I think everyone just decides it's time for bed. Isn't like or something along those lines.
Like a bunch of them just go to bed.
Two of them decide it's time to hop in the bath together.
Correct.
Or at least like one of them was like bath time.
I was gonna say one of them was bath time. That was the weird thing, is because the guy is in there and it's just like this public bath in the castle. And then of course this is honestly the reason why this scene is there is just so they can get the TNA that they need because it's an 80s horror movie. But she walks in and she's like, oh, there's somebody already in the bath. Well, anyway, don't look at me and let's not talk to each other, but I'm just gonna sit here naked next to you.
Yeah, as his eyes are like bugging out.
He's like, no funny business, and his eyes are like wide open. And he's just like I wouldn't dream of it.
Like Tex Avery Wolf, like fucking eye falls off, and he puts it back in his head, like.
And then she gets very upset that he was looking at her, but it's like, what? It's just a weird setup. Right? Why would you go into the bath with this guy naked if both of you are like you don't want to be anywhere near him? What is going on?
So our Australian guy is drinking a beer in a room. After he tells because Gloria the model. I think. Yeah, but she tells him, "Hey, I don't think the professor just wandered out in the blizzard for no reason without his coat. That's ridiculous."
He's like, good astute observation, Detective Gloria.
I think the count is
Gale,
lying to us. Oh, is it Gale? Okay.
Gale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the count is lying to us. Look, I'll go get his coat. So she leaves to go get his coat, and then our Australian guy drops his beer and like places his hand on the wall after picking it up to get up, and then that opens a secret passage.
He by utilizing the power of Four Loko, he opens up this interior of the castle.
So then
the whole thing is orchestrated by Big Four Loko, clearly.
It is,
obviously, yes.
So his immediate decision at that point is, oh yeah, Gale was going to come back, but I'm going to get this like candle near me and wander into this secret passage by myself for no reason.
Yeah. Thereby
which
forfeiting his
saves his-
security deposit.
Yeah.
which ends up saving his life because he goes into the wall, and
Yeah.
we were talking about, we hope that he lives a little bit longer, and
Mhm.
Ben was like, oh no, he cursed this man, he's stuck in this room now, he's dead. But it turns out,
Right.
it was a twist. Gale
Right.
comes back into the room, he watches through the wall, and something attacks Gale and drags her away.
Santos.
Santos!
So then he walks through the secret passage, which leads him outside into the blizzard, and then he immediately dies and is removed from the film. So we didn't actually get much more of it, but the way he died was very good.
It was
That's
so
what I was gonna
good.
say, you cannot gloss over
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
that he dies,
It's
though.
very good. He's just wandering around in the blizzard outside in the castle like courtyard area or whatever, and then just out of nowhere, an entire mound of snow bursts open, and there's a werewolf that was waiting there as the snow piled on top of them.
Which is like knowing how this movie ends
Yeah.
makes that scene even better. Knowing like who the werewolf is, like hanging out in this snowbank for God knows how long,
Right.
hoping somebody would come by. Like, oh man, it's so good though.
It's
The werewolf
really
pops out,
solid.
like, it's just a prank.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about how this old Budapest hotel,
Budapest.
this old
I mean-
Budapest castle looks a lot
Yeah.
like a Dark Souls location.
It does.
And then you
It
actually
does.
have a literal Dark Souls enemy in that it's just like sitting in this totally
Yeah.
normal snowbank against the wall for like, 5 hours while it gets
Mhm.
covered by 3 feet of snow so it can burst out in one
Yeah,
shot.
and the whole time the werewolf's like, "Oh, this is gonna be great."
What's wrong with you,
It's his prank, bro.
They'll never suspect a thing. I can't wait.
Oh, God.
I was bummed to see because we were watching this and like I definitely thought that Steve was like the pro tag at this point
Yeah.
and was gonna like
Yeah, I
make
did
it the
too.
whole way. So that actually put me through a loop. It's like the moment that he saw Gale die, and what really bums me out as there are all these holes throughout the castle that you can see through the secret passage, but there was no picture with the eyes
Yeah.
cut out
There's
that you
no
could see
eyes cut
through.
out. Yeah, that'd be so
Mhm.
good.
But I definitely thought he was gonna make it at that point, and he died not 5 minutes later.
Yeah, so then everybody meets back up in the Four Loco dining hall.
it says
There's a sign.
the
Yeah.
Four Loco Memorial Dining Hall.
Yes. The Grand Hall, brought to you by Four Loco.
Yeah, like you would see in the Ramada Grand Hotel.
Yeah, which also stocks it.
Yeah. But so they go back there and they're like, those 3 people are gone. Have you seen them? No. Well, maybe they're in the maze underneath, the labyrinth underneath this
Which
castle.
was like, this is the first we've heard of this maze.
And the couch doesn't have mini. Oh no, that's where the Minotaur lives.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
you
it
don't
could have been
go in there.
It could have been like the catacombs, or like it's like the catacombs are, there's
Yeah.
many of them, and they use them to escape. But no, it's a straight up labyrinth beneath the castle for no reason.
like the DM's like, I'll just throw a maze at them. Players love mazes. I'll make them map it out as they go. They love that
Yeah.
shit.
And the players probably say, "All right, so we're gonna split the party," and the DM goes, "Shit, this backfired."
Now I gotta draw every part of the map as we go. Oh, this sucks.
This
Yeah.
feels a lot like a role-playing game setup.
does.
Honestly, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
We even made the joke too, where when Steve finds like the secret passage, we're like, "Wow!" When you roll like a natural 20 on your perception check, and then 5 seconds
Right.
later, he walks into the room and misses the staircase and falls down, and we're like, "Okay,
Yes.
a 20 into a 1."
Yeah.
Just immediately misses the stairs in front of him and rolls down them.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
what the hell?
Yeah, actually, and now I know we're kind of past that point, but it's like that blew my mind too, because it's like he
Yeah.
fell down and then was like knocked unconscious.
Hmm.
Yes.
And then they did another of many establishing like exterior shots,
Correct.
and then cut right back to him getting up. And it was like I thought that there was going to be like a whole other scene to denote that time had gone by or something. No, it was just like he got knocked out. Hey, look, cool castle. Anyways, back to Steve.
We shot on location. Did you know we
Yeah.
shot on location? Look at
Yeah.
this castle.
like if you did a scene like that, you would expect them to be like, oh, what happened to Steve? Oh man, oh, like
Yeah.
leave it as a mystery, but like, oh, he's
Yeah. It was instant. It was like there was no blood. We didn't see a werewolf. There was no Santos.
okay.
So he's probably going to show up later. Oh no, he's showing up right now.
The later was 5 seconds. it turns
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very funny. So then they all decide to split up and go into the maze, the labyrinth underneath the castle, and go looking for the missing people. One of them decides that it's a really good idea to draw chalk marks on the wall,
Mhm.
so they know where they went and they know what direction they came from. But what they didn't know is that the werewolf loves playing pranks on people.
Yeah.
Going around and rubbing off all
Rubbing
of the.
Not
They make
rubbing
such a
off
big
chalk.
deal about that. They're like, how could an animal erase chalk marks from the wall? It must be a man.
Yep.
Yeah. Which
Yep.
makes sense because at the time they were like, oh, there's probably like a wolf or something that got caught in a labyrinth and it's eating the people.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the problem. Yeah, that makes sense. Sure. It's a bear. I don't know.
Well, there was a really good establishing shot of a bear earlier.
There was a very good bear earlier. There was a bear that was desperately trying to upgrade into the Ramada Grand Hotel.
There's just a bearskin rug zoom in, and it's like, hey, I'm a bear. Because the face they got on that was not very good.
We'll share that on the Twitter. They also found when they first went into the labyrinth, I just wanted to mention that, like, when they went in there, one of the things is they go like, well, do we know that they came down here? And the one guy leans over and he's like, well, what's all this? It's a watch covered in strawberry jam. Oh no.
Yeah.
And then he
That was
finds a
David.
missing button also.
That was
Yeah.
David.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, David finds
speak-
a missing button and a watch. The button apparently from the jacket of the count.
Yeah.
Something
Yes.
like that,
Yeah.
yeah. But the people that are leaving the chalk marks are the photographer journalist and Mary Lou, which is actually
Mhm.
important,
Yes. Yeah.
if I remember right.
Wasn't David the photographer, or am I wrong?
David's
no,
the photographer. The guy, because David
So
went
somebody
with
different,
the maid.
I thought it was
believe.
the long-haired guy.
Yeah,
the
the long.
photographer.
Okay, but there are multiple long-haired guys. This,
Yeah.
is, this is the
See,
problem
this is
that
the
we
problem.
had.
All
This
the
is the
dudes
problem
are like
that
the
we had.
same, but David's like the very well eloquently spoken dude, I guess.
Sure.
And like, yeah, there's two like honestly Colonel Mustard
Mhm.
Chad looking dudes, and
Yes.
that one of the Chad looking dudes is with Mary Lou, and he's the one
Yeah.
who's making the chalk marks, and then they hear noises behind them, discovering, and like they're like, I think we're going in circles, and they're like, maybe the thing is rubbing off the marks, and then they hear a noise and they run away,
Mhm.
and Mary Lou and Chad Mustard like separate from each other. Chad Mustard runs into a room and tries to block the door, and the werewolf like doesn't it like Kool-Aid Man through the door or whatever and get him?
It sure does.
Yeah, it
There's a
does.
lot
It
of
just
there's a
Kool-Aid
lot
Mans,
of werewolf explodes through wall in this movie.
Yeah.
Santos!
Santos.
They oh god, yeah, they love their exploding werewolf wall.
But the important thing is the werewolf left Mary Lou alone and went after him.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah.
important part.
Yes.
Yeah.
She takes some shots, doesn't she? Is that
No,
when
that's
No,
that's the
the
actress lady
actress.
later.
That's
you're
Mrs.
right,
White.
you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are like, you've got the
Yeah.
Chad and Chaz.
Yeah. Chad and Chaz
Mustard are,
Mustard.
like, kind of
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
killing me because it's so hard to keep track of some of them. The other problem with it is that, as we talked about before, it's not just that they all look kind of similar, and like, I mean, two of the guys are wearing V-neck sweaters with like a collared shirt underneath. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking incredible how much they do that. They make them look the same, but also the castle, as we said, like they're shooting on location. It's too damn dark. You
The
can't
whole
see
thing is
who
dark,
half the
yeah.
characters are half the time. So you're just like, okay, well, this is one of the men and one of the women, I think. I don't know
Yeah.
which ones, but
Right.
it's two of them. And they got rid of the one guy who you'd actually know in the dark because he had the Australian accent. And they cut him out of the movie in the first
that was
5
the
minutes.
that was the defining
fucked up.
feature. Yeah.
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 Like, it would have been easy to tell who he was because
Mhm.
he's going around going, crikey, mate.
So the Count and Miss White are also in the labyrinth wandering around.
Yes.
And the Count steps up into like a secret passage. But before he does it, he hands Mrs. White a Luger pistol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that he had
And
on him.
he's like, if you see anything, just go and blast him.
he Danny DeVito's that just like, anyways.
Yeah.
This is a wild gun for him to give to her, honestly.
Right.
Like, every time that I think about that gun, I'm like, because it's, yeah, like this old Luger, and it would be one thing if this was set in, like, the 60s or something, but, like, this is, like, 89?
It's 80s at least, yeah.
Yeah.
89, 90? So you're like, wait. And it's just modern times for the movie, so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like,
So I'm reading
what
the
is
synopsis, and yeah, it's 1989. So like 90s, handing basically like handing a Kruger to somebody is wild.
World War II pistol. Here you go. Here's my Nazi memorabilia. Like, wait, what? Like,
What?
I'm totally innocent. Not a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy.
So-
I'm named the Count. I gave you my Nazi Luger. Let's just keep going.
But
Just
I
brush
am
past
not the
it. It's
werewolf.
fine. Don't
I
worry
am not
about
the
it.
werewolf. My name is the Count. Yeah. So
They
he
actually
hands her the
flag
gun.
him so much for being like
They do.
not the villain by being so villainous
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
incredible.
So she gets scared in the labyrinth because she thinks the Minotaur's after her. And she
Mhm.
sees something come up behind her and she just starts blasting. Like
Instantly,
5 shots.
zero hesitation.
Yeah. Ah, bam, 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 bam.
She had a pretty good grouping too. I think she got all of them in them.
Yep.
In the
Yeah,
neck.
and then
Yeah.
David comes up. He's like, "Oh my god, are you okay? What was that? Did you shoot something? I shot the werewolf, I think, or whatever was following us, the beast. Oh, should I go look at it? No,
No. Yeah.
no, don't look at it.
Yeah. He's like, I believe you, I guess.
God, yeah, I
Okay.
forgot that. Yeah, he asked her. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna go and check the body." And she's like, "Nope, no, you don't want to look at that. No,
I got it.
No.
Yeah, I got it. I definitely got it.
Yeah, and there's no reason for us to check it. We don't need to know who
Nope.
it was. Nothing like that. That would be stupid.
So then he's just like, okay, and then just leaves. Like, what?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then briefly
Yeah.
before they all reconvene back upstairs because they've like decided to quit the hunt,
Mhm.
it's the other grouping. It's right. Is it David and Mrs. White?
Yes.
Or no, it's
yes.
it's I think it's that, or it's like Chaz Mustard or something, and like they
One
get
of them, yeah.
attacked. They get attacked by the butler with a knife, who's
Oh,
got a
yeah,
big
yeah.
like head wound, and then and they're just like, oh, like they stop him or whatever, and he starts like saying something in whatever language that they've chosen for this, and the guy somehow seems to know what he's talking about, and he's like, oh, he's talking about the rock, and they point to like this random rock on the dungeon floor.
Right.
They leave,
Oh
and they're
my
like, well, let's bring him back upstairs and treat his head wound or whatever. And
Yeah.
then the camera turns to the rock, stays on the rock for like 3 seconds, cuts back now to where they're all reconvening in the Four Loko Memorial dining room. And the rock is never spoken of again, or
Well-
like anything, or like what was going on with the rock.
I mean, that's to add suspicion to the Rock being the werewolf, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
the Rock transformed into a werewolf.
Nobody is not a suspect.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
never find out what that rock was cooking.
It
No.
makes no sense. No, we
uh,
don't.
The other thing too is that while this is also going on, one of the things that happens, they show the butler like sneakily go into the main Four Loko dining hall and pop open the camera and rip out all
Remove
the
the
film
film,
from it
yeah.
and destroy any evidence. Which also never gets spoken of again, and
No.
the butler is totally innocent, so there's zero reason for him to do this.
Yep,
There's-
that's true.
As much as this movie does make it so that like all of us were kind of like, wait, who is the werewolf? Some of that was clever. Some of it was also just that they put in a bunch of red herrings that mean absolutely nothing and don't go anywhere.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
only so many props I can give for that.
But-
The more that I
so-
think about it.
The group reconvenes. And it's like we were wandering around in that labyrinth for a while, and all that happened was some of us died. Anyways, let's go to bed. Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
take a shower.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? What?
Right, and Mary Lou is like all worn out, so they take
Yep.
Mary Lou to bed, and to let her unwind with
Yep.
with Chad Mustard and Mrs. White.
And then all of the characters are just talking to each other individually in separate conversations, being like, "Oh yeah, by the way, are your parents dead?" "Yeah, my parents are dead."
Yeah.
"Oh,
My
mine
parents
too."
are dead too.
Wow, what a
It's
coincidence!
the reverse Batman v Superman of just like, my parents are also dead.
Oh, cool,
wow.
man! I never had parents.
I
They're
bet
all
that-
dead.
It's just like I thought. None of this was a coincidence. All of our parents are dead.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I thought. This is all a setup. Okay.
I'm gonna go take a bath.
And then because they took a bath, we also find out they have the same birthmarks, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right before
Yeah.
Chaz
'Cause
Mustard gets Kool-Aid Man again.
True.
Yes. So Chaz Mustard is sitting there in the room with Mary Lou. The woman that he's with that's awake, like, so not Mary Lou. I can't even remember which one it was.
Mrs. White,
anymore.
I think, as we're calling her
Mrs.
now.
White? Yeah. Anyways,
The actress is Miss White, yeah.
Yeah. So she goes off and she's like, oh, don't you do any peeking on me. I'm gonna go get naked. And then he immediately turns around and starts peeking on her and sees that she's got the same birthmark that he has. So then, as Mary Lou is laying sleeping in the bed, the werewolf comes bursting through the door.
Next door.
Yes.
Well, the walls
just
are
throwing
soundproof.
wood shards
Right.
everywhere and eats him in front of her. Meanwhile, she just, sleeps through the whole thing. That Four Loko hangover really fucking hits you. When you get the Four Loko crash, you're done.
You're done for the
You're
day.
done.
Yeah. One Four Loko and you're out. Yeah, no. It's bad. But so after that, then we
Santos.
get the
There we go.
Santos.
Yeah.
We gotta keep track
although
of them all.
they did stop eventually doing that, which was
They
frustrating.
did for one.
So
Yeah.
disappointed. Two of the two final deaths they don't.
So then we're down to 5 characters plus the Count and the butler and the maid.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And the
We're-
Count
think?
is yeah.
I just want to point out again our problems with keeping the cast straight. You're like, okay, so after halfway through the film, we've had like 12 deaths. So, anyways, there's these 5 main characters and then all the 4 side characters left, and you're like, well, how many people are in this fucking movie?
Well, no, in a whodunit film, keeping track of the characters is not important at all. We don't need to know who's who, because I think we've got Mary Lou, we've got Mrs. White, David, and I thought it was just those 3.
I have,
and the butler, the maid, and the Count. I think it's just 6.
there's Blue Lady. No, there's Blue Lady, Mrs. White, Mary Lou, David.
Oh, right. Yes, Blue
and
Lady.
there's one other guy, which is the same as every other guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Cool.
him much, but I know there was one more.
There is apparently, like, I went and I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and like the cast is 13 people. So it's like, that's really hard to keep track of that many different characters throughout this film.
But the point is, the Count is confronting them and being like, David's the werewolf. We need to kill David.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I know,
Why
because
is he-
there's an ancient Hungarian proverb that says,
you.
whoever
Yeah, I
looks
was
the
gonna
most innocent is a werewolf.
It's the first, and that's how we've done all of our judicial practices here in Hungary.
What?
500 years. We've all... For 500 years, Hungary has always executed the one who looks the most innocent, and it's never turned out wrong.
Yeah. So at night, parents will tell their children, "Remember, Jimothy, you must always go out and steal and be gay and do crimes.
Yeah.
Or else you will be
it's the
tried for
Hungarian way.
murder."
Yeah. What?
I
So
want to
then
go to Hungary.
The 5 versus the 3. The 5 people that were invited say, "Oh, the Count's just a fucking werewolf," right? And they lock him up with his 2 henchmen. Which they're fine with because they have a 4 Loko fridge in the cell. So it's okay.
Yeah.
They also discovered that this was actually just a huge intervention for the Count. And they're like, "Bro, you've got a problem. I can quit
this
any
is
time."
Far too much 4 Loko. They're gonna start calling you Edward 4 Loko Hands. I can remove the tape from these 4 Locos from my hands anytime I want.
So
Yeah,
it's is it that he's got two Four Locos or are they Four Loco fingers?
4 Loco fingers. It's both.
Yeah.
Correct.
sick.
Yes.
Yeah, it's both.
So
That's what
they
makes
leave
it
the
so
count
scary.
in the jail cell, and then they all go like, "All right, the evil is defeated. Let's all just wander off. Not a problem. No
We did it
issues at
again.
all."
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally safe. Anyway, so a whole bunch of us just get murdered again.
Yeah, because Mrs. White goes back to the cell and releases the count. Because she doesn't
Yeah,
think that he's the werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
She
Which then
eventually
he-
decides that it's not a good idea.
Which
yeah.
then he immediately does like a 180 on her and closes her in the cell. He's like,
Reverse
"It's just
Uno
a
card
He
prank.
does
ass.
the Uno reversey. Yes.
Yeah.
It was just a prank. I'm sorry."
Locks her in, and he's like, "If I come back in 2 hours, sick, we did it. If not, oops, whoops."
Yeah, oops, here's the key to let yourself out. Don't die.
And she
She
probably
doesn't listen to
loses
that
the
advice
key.
at all.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
like throws the key out the door. He's like, "Oops."
Yeah.
Yeah, she tries to unlock the cell, and
Yeah.
then she drops the key. And the part that I thought was really weird was she drops it like just out of reach somehow, and she's trying to reach for it, and you see this big shadow go across the key as she's
Yeah.
staring at it, and she doesn't react at all.
No.
She just like goes like, I guess I can't reach it, and leans back, and you're like, wait, did she not notice that there's like a big shadow thing? And then I'm like, oh, maybe that was just like a continuity error
Or
or
the torch was
So-
flickering or something.
something. And then
No.
all of a sudden this hand reaches out and strangles her, and you're like, oh, okay, no,
Oh.
she's just that blind. This is
And the
another
first
one
time
on
we get blue
perception.
balled on the Santos.
Yeah, there's no Santos.
Yes.
There's
Yeah,
no,
there's
Santos.
But then Blue Lady comes in to check on her. She's like, "Oh no, she's dead." And the werewolf's still in the cell. He's like, "I'm still here, you dummy. Didn't you see
Like
my
the-
attack radius in front of me? There's a big red line."
Yeah, it's the like the dream in Among Us where one person
my
walks
God.
in, you do the murder, and then the person goes, "Oh crap," and you murder them before like,
Right.
like they're able to
Right.
call it in.
Yes.
Come on.
They also went and they found the one lady goes in and sees before that she
Mhm.
goes and sees Mary Lou's bedroom.
Yeah.
And she grabs a spear because she sees she thinks that she sees a rustle in the
Yes.
curtains, and she spears through it and kills Chaz Mustard.
That was the other
that
guy.
he was
that
already
with them.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Don't worry, you didn't actually kill him. He was dead before you killed him.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
you
good.
just
Like,
desecrated his
reassures her
corpse.
so quickly. He's like, "You're not a murderer." He was merely sort of alive.
Don't worry, you probably didn't do it.
And so she had pinned him to the wall, and now then she goes down there and she dies finding the actress.
Yeah.
We've
Yep.
basically got Mary Lou and the David left, and then
And
the two
the
servants
crew.
count.
Yeah, the count's
Yeah.
crew.
Yeah, David comes across the rest of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that it's got to be the count. So they're like, no, this has got to be the count. It's count is evil. They give David the gun. David gets the Luger. He's looking for the count. He gets ambushed by, was it the maid that catches
maid.
him?
Yeah. As he's
Yeah,
walking in a
so
door, she has a knife.
He he kind of ambushed, kind of like she's there, but he like Steven Seagal like whips her over his back down the
Yes!
stairs. Like,
Judo throws her. Yes, I forgot about
and then like
that.
lands on top and like starts shaking her and was like, "Where's the count?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit you hard enough that you'll speak English. Nobody
Yeah.
understands that they don't speak
And-
English.
So the butler sneaks up behind him with an axe, like a hatchet.
Yes.
And then he takes a swing.
And he
Which
fat rolls out of the way.
he fat rolls out of the way. The butler beheads the maid, and at the same time, Mary Lou just randomly has a crossbow and is also there
Yeah.
and shoots him in the heart, killing him as he's beheading the maid.
Yeah. This gets wild
It
fast.
was the best scene in this movie. It was awesome. Like the
Yeah.
coordination, it's like,
Yeah.
whoops, I chop off the maid's head, poof, I'm dead from a crossbow. And they're like, there's like a brief moment where they all stop and they're like, damn.
Yeah, they all stopped, like, that escalated quickly.
It is very much a you blink and that scene's over. Like it is
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
That was some real good coordination. Also, the beheading is like
Mhm.
it's a beheading. We're not
Yeah.
talking about like he like golf swings her head off. Like he like
Yeah.
knocks it across the room. It is quite the scene.
So then Mary Lou is wandering through like a column room randomly.
Because they like split off to like
looking for
look
David
the count.
again. And the count sneaks up behind her and like grabs her. He's like, "Hey, I'm not gonna hurt you, but David's actually we need to actually kill David. I wasn't joking. This is real."
Yeah, he's super the werewolf, bro.
But then David
Like,
sneaks
seriously,
up on
David
the
is
count
so
because
sus,
they're
you
all
have no
sneaking
idea.
up on each other. And they get into a tussle and drop the gun, which Mary Lou picks up, and he's like, "All right, pick your favorite, Mary Lou. Who's your favorite? Is it the count or David? Which one is it? Pick one." Blam!
And she's the count.
Shoots the count.
Shoots the count.
So then David
He looked
comes up.
too innocent.
Yeah, he looked too innocent. He should have looked more like a villain. That's why he tried to look like a villain the whole time. It makes sense now. Oh my god!
Wow. Oh yeah. So he was like, it's just within my nature. It's from my home country. This is how we're supposed to act.
We have to act evil, otherwise people think that we are.
Yep. So then Mary
He
Lou
was
and
screwed
David.
by American traditions.
Damn it. But Mary Lou and David are then like consoling each other, I guess, and being
The
like,
evil
"Look,
is
it's fine.
defeated.
We killed Satan's werewolves. There will never be another werewolf. Was there even a werewolf at all? No, it was all just a lie." And then the moon opens up from the sky, and we see that Mary Lou was actually the werewolf the whole time.
Yeah,
I like that they
smile to the camera.
I love that they don't like have her transform and murder him. They just it's her turning towards, her eyes go all spooky or whatever, and then the credits roll.
What's funny is it ends on that note, which is actually a good note for an ending. But we watched Howling 7, and we know how the story actually ends, and it's just that David leaves the castle and freezes to death outside.
Really?
Yes.
That's the end of the story. They tell you in Howling 7, David didn't actually live. He just walked outside and froze to death or whatever.
Yep.
The thing that's weird for me that I feel like they do in a lot of werewolf movies is just like the werewolf like isn't like doing a murder because it's like I'm hungry and I hunger for human flesh. It was just like ripping people's vocal cords out for fun, kind of a thing. Like it was just like, I gotta do murder. That's werewolf shit.
Once every 500 years, this happens, right? Yeah. It's like Squid Game. They just set it up,
It's a very there's a thing with the Howling movies that because you didn't see Howling 2.
I've seen bits and pieces of like Christopher,
Lee,
like doing like his big cool like monologues and stuff like that about werewolves, and I've also seen the scene where the one guy put like his earplugs or whatever get knocked out of his ears, and like that howling, I assume, like makes his head explode.
Yeah, it's because in this universe, werewolves are actually vampires and also satanic. Like that's literally what this is. That's the thing. Like in Howling 2, they have they're like a witch coven of werewolves that summon Satan and live for hundreds of years and drink blood, and like it's all of this mishmash of werewolf, vampire, satanic lore. It's wild.
Are they like the kind of like the archetypical like fancy pantsy vampire, like we drink blood out of like a wine glass kind of a vibe? That's like that's the one thing that werewolves, like for me, that's why I like werewolves more than vampires, is because like I hate the vampire like sexy archetype of like, where these aristocratic vampires and whatnot, and then the werewolves are supposed to be like the cool, like feral kind of like ones and stuff.
Well, to be fair, they did glue a bunch of hair on their back and then had them get in a pile, so it's not that.
they had them.
Fancy,
Howling,
really.
Howling 2 has a very literal, like glued on hair orgy.
Yeah,
I'm not
it
even
sure
kidding.
does. It sure does.
That's a recipe for a mouthful of hair.
It sure is.
I'm sure Four Loko was involved in that too, to be fair. But
oh my god,
just to keep them going.
Yeah, so I guess that's Howling 5, right? That's the story.
Yeah, this one's a very straightforward whodunit.
The soundtrack brought to us by CNC Music Factory.
Yeah, that was wild that they decided to go in there. Yeah.
just pump up the jam, up the jam, and then like a werewolf pops out of a door. You're like, yes,
Yeah.
Santos.
It was neat that they sampled from that to do this.
Yeah, that was nice.
The one thing that was super weird for me too was like that music also seemed to be like in universe too, because they kept getting called by this like phantom whispering Santos, like in the catacombs and stuff like that, and they're like, "What's that noise?" And it'd continue like Santos, and it was so it's like I don't know if there was just like a group of like Gregorian monks following them around for like the murders and stuff.
Mary Lou was just standing at the end of the hallways, like these hallways echo really badly. Watch this, Santos.
What is that?
All right, now I'm gonna erase the chalk on the wall. Oh,
it's
so
a prick.
good.
What's up, YouTube? Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Ashton
Welcome to
Kutcher,
Santos
Howling
Pranks.
8.
Santos Pranks, brought to you by Four Loco.
Ooh.
It was not a bad movie, though.
No, it wasn't.
Like,
it wasn't.
Yeah.
It feels like a very archetypal, like 80s Hammer film kind of like horror movie where it's the only thing it was missing was a Christopher Lee type character. Like Philip Davis is apparently the one that did The Count, but like apparently he's actually gotten a lot of awards and he's somebody fairly big, but I don't know. It felt like you needed like a Vincent Price or a Christopher Lee or like Boris Karloff or something. Like you need somebody who was like a Tim Curry to like really.
It felt like that's what Professor Plum was like supposed to sort of be.
Supposed to do, yeah.
But they kill him first. Like he's the first to go.
They needed a Christopher Lloyd, a Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
And somebody
Night
with
of the Christophers.
somebody with way more personality than whoever they got for David.
Yeah. There was like a really weird scene too that we were talking about where like it's like 2 minutes of either Chad or Chaz Mustard and David just talking about photography and photography class. And so, like the movie just full on stops for them to be like, yeah, I went to UCLA and I took a photography class. And they're like, oh, great. It's like, yeah. And I used one of these kind of cameras, that it had like, you had to click the button for the shutter and then you had to click the other one for like the flash or whatever.
I think the actors were just talking on set and they just kept rolling.
And then I realized afterwards,
like, we got to use this. Yeah. And then, right. And he got a lot of shots of his feet and invented OnlyFans.
He sure likes feet pics. That's true. We got 36 shots of his feet, and he handed them out to the class. Yeah,
by accident. By accident. All I did was somehow people found my film, and it was all feet, and that was a total accident.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take pictures of my feet. Oh.
What do you mean my camera's full of foot pictures? No, that I must have screwed up. Sorry. Whoops, that's a total mistake. My bad.
Yeah. This movie was made on like a cheap budget too. It was only like $2 million. And like all in all, like that's fairly it fairly came together. Besides, like I feel like if they maybe allocated $500 to bringing like some softbox like lights with them so you can see half of it. But yeah.
Although I did like, as one quick thing for one of the shots, they had sometimes some of the lighting was really good. Like they did a very nice backlit shot of the werewolf at one point where they like glued hair and like big claw hands on somebody and then backlit them so that they're just in silhouette. You can't see their face. You can't see the costume, but it's like got all this fur and everything and they're like crawling through the tunnel.
Like Gollum shuffles away.
Yeah. I actually really liked that shot though. Like that shot was really well done. Like lots of fog and all that kind of stuff. Just very classic horror film. So.
It was also directed by Neil Sundstrom, who is the director of Space Mutiny, the Red Brown film, which is famous because of Mystery Science Theater.
Oh, okay.
MST3K classic, yes.
Yeah.
Space Mutiny.
This was his first movie he got to direct on his own because he only finished Space Mutiny. He didn't start that. But yeah, so it's an interesting film for sure. I actually kind of liked it. I kind of liked it somehow.
I'm going through the Wikipedia page
Yeah.
and it's got like a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh, because we're talking about like how it was his first thing, and I'm like, I wonder what the reception is, and everything is filled up except for reception. There is no, there's
nobody
nothing
likes
there.
his movies.
It doesn't
None of
even
them.
exist.
Nope.
The other thing that I have to double check this. Like the other interesting thing about this in terms of like later Howling lore is that this one has the screenplay co-written by Clive Turner, and if I remember correctly, he's also Ray, so he's the Australian man.
Oh.
And if I remember correctly,
Doesn't he put himself in all of them?
He's not in all of them, but he is the director, writer, and one of the main actors and editors of Howling 7.
I remember him in 7. Yeah.
We saw, yes.
That makes
so like
sense.
he's
That
a
makes
very,
sense.
very big, he's like the main character of Howling 7, which is a wildly different film than the rest of the Howling movies, to put it lightly. But yeah, no, so he kind of goes on and like takes the Howling franchise into the future, which is unfortunate because he's my favorite character in this, and boy, he should not have done any more Howling movies because Howling 7 is we did that one. That one has Evil Urchin. You can check it in our backlog.
All right, let's go ahead and rate the dogs, right?
We've got to rate the dogs.
We're done talking about Howling 5. So there were at least 2 dogs in this film. First is a very cute Pomeranian, which we see in the Ramada Grand Hotel, which you know is a great hotel because it allows dogs.
Yes, yeah. As a dog owner, I'm discovering that it's hard to find hotels that allow dogs in. So shout out to the Grand Ramada.
That is a grand hotel and a grand dog. I'm rating it a grand out of 10. Thank you.
Yeah, I would rate it a weekend stay at the Ramada Grand Hotel out of 10.
I'd put a long exterior shot of the Grand Ramada Hotel of just the dog in front out of 10.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then our other dog is, of course, Mary Lou, or werewolf. I don't know how to rate Mary Lou in our werewolf scale. Definitely, I would say a better werewolf than Teen Wolf. Oddly enough. So
after having seen both Teen Wolves, yes. On the Teen Wolf scale, she's like a Teen Wolf 3.
Yeah.
She's gotten out of the teens.
I would say Mary Lou is just a prank out of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, she does pull a lot of pranks.
Yeah.
I would rate her 7 Four Locos out of a possible 5.
That is way too many Four Locos.
I'm gonna have to rate her a 2 Loco because she only had like one of them and then she passed the fuck out. And nobody else
she
had
was
that
out pretty
problem.
early.
Yeah.
Unless she was like pounding, that's all she was drinking at the Grand Ramada, right? And then by the time Mystery, gang met up at the castle, she was done.
That caffeine crash hits you fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like I said, she's a 2 out of 4 Loco. But
2 out of 4 Locos. Okay.
So she that's Howling 5. I keep on thinking Howling 4, but it's Howling 5. Sorry. There's a lot of Howling movies. We've seen too many of them. And they've varied wildly. As far as Howling movies, actually, even though I did like this one, I feel like I would maybe rate this the lowest out of them.
I would go 257. Personally,
yeah,
I like 2 a lot.
Sorry, we're leaving Ben totally out of this conversation.
No, well, I mean, looking at it and kind of understanding a little bit of what I've seen of like the bits and pieces of the franchise and what you've said, this one certainly didn't feel like if someone was looking for like a horror slash fest or like gore fest or something like that, this would not be the one.
No.
This is more like, are you looking for like a not a thriller in like the loosest sense of the words, or like that's kind of what this would more so be. It's like it's got a monster, you don't really get to see it, but you do get to see, some sort of thrilling elements.
I say it's competent, but it also has much less boring segments than some of the other Howling movies we've seen.
Yeah, that's what Howling 2 is the best. Howling
Yeah.
7 is... It's weird, because Howling 7's lows are extremely low and last for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
that's the
all
problem.
of a sudden, it has like it probably has the highest 20 minutes of the entire series. So I don't know if it's better or worse than that. Because this one is just competent throughout. Like, this is just a fine film.
A lot of like B horror movies too, like in this sort of vein, they tend to do the thing where like in the halfway point when they're like, okay, yeah, werewolves is real and stuff, they spend like a good 15 minutes doing like an exposition dump on like what kind of werewolf this is, how you deal with werewolves and stuff like that. And this movie doesn't. Like it has like the weird like scene at the beginning when they first get to the castle where they're like, so here's the legend of what's gone on here, right? And it's presented in a very weird way, but then the rest of the movie just like flows. It's like a, an actual like murder mystery kind of a thing.
Yeah, it just goes. That's a good point. It does just go. There is no like big weird expedition dump that just chunks the movie into pieces like that. Because often they're like, wait, vampires are real. What do vampires do? Oh, I've heard that they don't like garlic. What do we do about that? Like,
doesn't really feel like it needs to explain the werewolf. It just needs you to know that it's killing them. Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
They don't even like say, "Oh, we need silver bullets." Like, there's none of that. There's absolutely nothing. They just, oh well, it's a werewolf. We have to kill it. That's it. No,
take my Kruger
bullshit. Anything else? Like, whatever. It might have well as just been a murderer. Like, it didn't have to be a werewolf. This could have been literally any monster, or any murderer at all, and it would have been the same film. It didn't have to have a werewolf in it at all, which is to its credit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was Howling 5, and thank you very much, Ben, for joining us. Is there anything?
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Shout out.
Yeah, anything you want to plug?
Sure. Yeah. Hi. I do the Twitch streamings and the internet content makings like these fine fellas do. So you can find me over on the Twitches at twitch.tv/Bengineering, as I'm known on most places on the internet, as well on Twitter at Bengineering TV, because some dick butt is sitting on Bengineering for the last 10 years and hasn't tweeted from it. You can also find me doing a bunch of stuff with a group called Loading Ready Run. We do all kinds of content and podcasts and stuff, both on YouTube and on Twitch at Loading Ready Run.
Awesome.
Thank you guys very much for having me. This was sweet. It's a good way to start your morning watching a spooky dog movie.
there have been many times when it's like 11 o'clock in the morning and you just suddenly we're watching a movie and you hear in the background it's like, oh no!
That's how
we gotten to that point already. Oh no! Oh, this is Saturday's gone.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this one wasn't one of the movies that we needed to do that with.
I will say, after all of this, I want to go search for some Four Loko.
Four Loko. Don't do it. Don't give in to the darkness.
The search for Four Loko is a dangerous one. First, you must navigate the labyrinth, and then get past the temple guards.
We're good. That's rough cuts. Thanks, everybody. We're cutting. We're out.
Bye.